Inside the stone walls of Westminster Abbey, the air is thick with the dust of 1,000 years of history. When the moment finally comes for the next monarch to ascend the throne, the spectacle will be broadcast to billions, filled with gold coaches, trumpets, and velvet robes. But strip away the pageantry, and you are left with something far more ancient and terrifyingly binding: the words. The British monarchy does not exist solely by right of blood or conquest. It exists because of a series of solemn promises, covenants made between the sovereign, the state, and the divine. These are not merely ceremonial lines read from a parchment. They are legally and spiritually binding contracts that define the very limits of power in the United Kingdom. For the current heir, these oaths represent a burden that few can truly comprehend. When he eventually steps forward to take them, he will be stepping into a cage of constitutional obligations that have trapped and defined kings for centuries. Some of these vows date back to the misty origins of the English state, while others were forged in the fire of revolution to prevent tyranny. They dictate his religion, his residence, his relationship with the law, and even the secrets he must keep until his dying breath. Most observers watch a coronation for the crown, but legal scholars and historians listen for the oaths. It is in these whispered and spoken promises that the true mechanism of the monarchy is revealed. Today we are examining the specific, ancient, and immutable vows that await the future king, analysing exactly what they mean in a modern world and why breaking them is constitutionally impossible. Number 10. The Oath of the Privy Council. Long before the heavy St. Edward's crown is placed upon his head, the new monarch must engage with his oldest and most secretive advisory body. The Privy Council dates back to the Norman kings, a select group of advisors who once held the power of life and death over the realm. While their executive powers have diminished, their role in the succession is absolute. Upon the death of the sovereign, the Accession Council meets immediately at St. James's Palace. It is here, in a room filled with senior politicians, judges, and clergy, that the new king makes his very first personal declaration. This is not a public broadcast event in the traditional sense, though recent history has allowed cameras to witness it. The oath taken here is one of continuity and secrecy. The monarch swears to govern according to the law and to protect the security of the realm, but implicitly, he is also binding himself to the confidentiality that defines the council. Every member of this body has sworn to keep the king's counsel secret, and the king in turn swears to rely on them. It is a moment that transforms a grieving son into a head of state instantly. He effectively promises to set aside his personal grief to ensure the machinery of government does not stall for even a single second. This oath reinforces the terrifying reality of the crown. The person may die, but the sovereign never does. Number 9. The security of the Church of Scotland. There is a common misconception that the coronation is the first major constitutional act of a new reign. In reality, the very first statutory oath the new monarch must take, often within minutes of the Accession Council, concerns the Northern Kingdom. This is a requirement born from the volatile history of the 17th and 18th centuries, specifically the Acts of Union in 1707. The monarch is the supreme governor of the Church of England, but in Scotland, the structure is entirely different. The Church of Scotland is Presbyterian, recognising no head but Jesus Christ, and this theological distinction caused centuries of bloodshed. To prevent religious war and reassure the Scots that London would not impose Anglican bishops upon them, the law requires the new king to swear to inviolably maintain and preserve the settlement of the true Protestant religion as established by the laws of Scotland. It is a fascinating constitutional paradox where the king is an Anglican in London and a Presbyterian in Edinburgh. When the heir takes this oath, he is acknowledging the distinct legal and cultural identity of Scotland within the Union. It is a promise that predates the modern concept of the United Kingdom, serving as a reminder that the British Isles are a composite monarchy held together by these fragile, ancient verbal agreements. Number 8. The Statutory Declaration. This is perhaps the most politically sensitive oath in the modern era, and one that has evolved significantly since its inception. Originally known as the Accession Declaration, it was mandated by the Bill of Rights in 1689. Its original purpose was brutally sectarian, to ensure that the monarch was not, and would never be, a Roman Catholic. For centuries, the wording was aggressively anti-Catholic, requiring the king to denounce the Mass and the adoration of saints as superstitious and idolatrous. It was a test designed to flush out secret Jacobite sympathisers. In 1910, King George V refused to open Parliament unless the wording was changed, as he found it deeply offensive to his Catholic subjects. Today, the wording is softer, but the intent remains the same. When the future king opens his first Parliament, he will declare himself a faithful Protestant. This is not just a statement of personal belief, it is a constitutional necessity. The law of succession strictly forbids a Catholic from holding the crown. By taking this oath, he is publicly validating his own legitimacy to rule. It creates a direct link between the crown and the Protestant Reformation, a tether that binds the monarchy to a specific theological worldview that has defined English history for 500 years. Number 7. The Oath of the Order of the Garter. Moving away from parliamentary statutes, we enter the realm of chivalry. The Order of the Garter is the oldest and most senior order of chivalry in Britain, established by Edward III in 1348. While the monarch is the sovereign of the order, the principles enshrined in its oath reflect a medieval code of conduct that is still surprisingly relevant. The oath is not just about wearing velvet robes and a garter. It is about the concept of noblesse oblige, that nobility extends beyond rank and requires virtuous conduct. When the future king assumes the sovereignty of this order, he acts as the custodian of honour for the nation. The statutes of the Garter require loyalty, bravery, and service. While these sound like abstract concepts, for a modern monarch, they translate into a duty to recognise and elevate those who serve the country. He swears to uphold the dignity of the order, which effectively means he promises to maintain the hierarchy of meritocracy that the honours system represents. It is a vow that connects him to the warrior kings of the Middle Ages, reminding him that his authority was originally derived from military leadership and the loyalty of his knights. Number 6. The Coronation Oath, the promise of law. We now arrive at the centrepiece of the coronation service, the only oath that is required by a specific Act of Parliament to be taken during the ceremony itself. The Coronation Oath Act of 1688 was a direct response to the reign of James II, who attempted to rule by divine right and ignore the laws of Parliament. The writers of the Act wanted to ensure that no future monarch could ever claim to be above the law. The Archbishop will ask, "Will you solemnly promise and swear to govern the peoples of the United Kingdom according to their respective laws and customs?" This single sentence is the bedrock of the British Constitution. By answering, "I solemnly promise so to do," the King accepts that his power is limited by the statutes created by Parliament. He is agreeing to be a constitutional monarch, not an absolute one. If he were to refuse this oath, the coronation could not proceed, and his legitimacy would be shattered. It is a public submission to the democratic will of the people, dressed up in the language of the 17th century. This oath transforms the monarch from a ruler into a servant of the Constitution, bound to execute laws even if he personally disagrees with them. Number 5. The Coronation Oath, the promise of mercy. Immediately following the promise to govern by law, the Archbishop presents a second question. Will you to your power cause law and justice in mercy to be executed in all your judgments? This is a profound addition that dates back to the medieval concept of the king as the fount of justice. In the ancient world, the king was the final court of appeal. While the modern monarch no longer sits as a judge in a courtroom, this oath carries immense symbolic weight regarding the tone of the reign. It requires the sovereign to ensure that the justice system is not merely a rigid application of rules, but a human system capable of mercy. It is the philosophical basis for the royal prerogative of mercy, which allows for pardons and the commutation of sentences. By taking this vow, the future king acknowledges that justice without compassion is tyranny. It is a subtle but crucial check on the power of the state, reminding the judiciary and the government that the crown stands for fairness and humanity, protecting the individual against the crushing weight of the administrative machine. Number 4. The maintenance of the Church of England. This is the third part of the Coronation Oath, and in an increasingly secular and multi-faith society, it is the most debated. The Archbishop asks the king to maintain the laws of God and the true profession of the gospel, and to preserve the rights and privileges of the Church of England. This effectively cements the king's role as the supreme governor of the Church. It is a fusion of church and state that is almost unique in modern Western democracies. For the future king, this oath presents a complex challenge. He will be swearing to protect one specific denomination in a country filled with Muslims, Hindus, Sikhs, Catholics, and atheists. However, recent interpretations, championed by the late Queen and King Charles, suggest that protecting the Church of England creates a protective umbrella for all faiths. By swearing to protect the free practice of the Anglican faith, the king effectively swears to protect the concept of faith itself against secular eradication. It is a vow of spiritual guardianship, ensuring that religion retains a place in the public square. Number 3. The Oath of the Great Seal. While not spoken in the Abbey, the custody of the Great Seal of the realm involves a sworn duty that is central to the operation of the state. The Great Seal is the instrument by which the king's will is made official. No major state document, treaty, or appointment is valid without it. When a new Lord Chancellor is appointed, or when the monarch assumes the rights of the seal, there is an implicit vow to use this authority only on the advice of ministers. This is the practical application of the constitutional monarchy. The king physically has the power to refuse to seal a document, which would cause a constitutional crisis. By accepting the role of the keeper of the seal's authority, he swears to act as the final ratification of the democratic process. It is a promise of bureaucratic integrity. It ensures that the government cannot act in the king's name without following the proper procedures, and it ensures that the king cannot act alone without the government. It is the physical manifestation of the partnership between Crown and Parliament. Number 2. The Duke of Cornwall's feudal obligations. Before he becomes king, and even after, the heir holds unique titles that come with their own ancient promises. As the Duke of Cornwall, he is the head of a massive private estate established in 1337. This is not just a property portfolio, it is a feudal entity. The tenants of the duchy historically owe service to the Duke. While the feudal dues are now mostly ceremonial, paying in peppercorns or greyhounds, the Duke's oath to the duchy is one of stewardship. He vows to pass the estate on to the next generation in a better condition than he found it. This sounds like simple management, but it is a radical concept of ownership. He does not own the land in a way that allows him to sell it off for personal gain. He holds it in trust. This principle of stewardship bleeds into his role as king. The oath to the duchy prepares him for the ultimate oath to the nation, that he is merely a temporary custodian of an eternal institution. He cannot sell the crown jewels, he cannot dismantle the palaces, and he cannot break the union. He is a caretaker bound by the vows of his ancestors. Number 1. The Vow of the Anointing. The most important oath the future king will take is the one he never speaks aloud. During the coronation, there is a moment when the cameras turn away, or a screen is erected. The monarch is stripped of his robes of state, wearing only a simple white shirt. He is anointed with holy oil on his hands, breast and head. This is the moment of consecration. It is a direct parallel to the anointing of Solomon in the Old Testament. This silent vow is a covenant between the man and his God. It is the moment he accepts that his life is no longer his own. It is a sacrificial vow. By accepting the anointing, he is agreeing to serve until the moment of his death. Abdication, while legally possible, is viewed through this lens as a breaking of a sacred covenant. This is why the late Queen Elizabeth II never stepped down. The anointing creates a bond that transcends politics and law. It is the mystery at the heart of the monarchy. The future king will promise many things to Parliament and the people, but in this silence, he promises his very life to the role. It is the ultimate definition of duty, a prison of gold and oil from which there is no escape but the grave. When Prince William one day kneels to take these oaths, he will be doing what his ancestors have done for 1,000 years. But in the 21st century, these words carry a different weight. They are the only things tethering a medieval institution to a modern democracy. They are the safety valves, the checks and balances, and the spiritual justifications for a hereditary head of state. If these oaths were to be broken, the entire illusion of the monarchy would shatter. They are not just rituals, they are the invisible steel beams holding up the British Constitution. Do you believe these ancient religious oaths still hold relevance in a modern secular society, or are they dangerous relics of a bygone era? I'd love to read your perspective in the comments below. This is a debate that will only get louder as the succession approaches. If you found this investigation into the hidden mechanics of the monarchy fascinating, please hit the like button. It helps us bring these deep dive histories to a wider audience. And for more analysis on the future of the royal family and the secrets of the crown, make sure you are subscribed. We have a video coming up on the financial secrets of the Duchy of Cornwall that you won't want to miss. I'll see you in the next one.